Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you all out there. Idle champions, you will set again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icewind, head out to show, or Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you all out there. Idle champions, you will say again. Idle champions.
Hello everybody, and welcome to another Gaarawarr's Guide, the tutorial show. I'm the guy with the name and the title of the show. And today I am joined for the first time by Jordan. Welcome, Jordan. Everybody be nice to Jordan today because they've got to put up with the hot mess that is me for the first time. And we all know that takes a little patience and grace. So, today we are going to be talking about the new champion, Blooshi, and how to unlock them. That's Blooshi, Blooshi, not Belushi like the brothers, like the captions program likes to think it is. Yeah. So we're going to talk about Blooshi. I'm going to be just completely honest with you folks. I totally get the facepalm emotes ready in chat. I deserve to be shamed with me doing a facepalm. I totally forgot to have one of the devs reset my variant, so I will be describing how everything works. We'll talk about the rules. I'll even hop in and show you how the formations and bench slots and review that kind of stuff. I just can't do it in the actual variant. Shame on me. I'm gonna facepalm myself in chat because that's what I deserve. But you know what? It's fine because here's the thing. The variant is fairly straightforward in the rules. There isn't a unique formation layout. It is just a Wild Beyond the Witchlight layout. We're hanging out in the Wild Beyond the Witchlight map today. Actually, we're on the Sword Coast. Now we're on the Wild Beyond the Witchlight map. And I will use our friend Blooshi to represent the bullywug bouncing around. I mean, that works. They're both bullywugs, but not the same kind. Shame. All right. Oh, do the Patron variant. Oh no, that would be worse. I think that would be worse. We might throw that in the second half during the Q&A, just so people can laugh at how bad it looks. All right, folks. Blooshi. Let me hop over. Let me get rid of this pro image. Oh, by the way, I believe, like most, if not all of, I think all of the promo art like this key art, to my understanding, is done by Ivy DePlume. All the artists at C&E are great, but it is my understanding that this is Ivy's work. I just wanted to show that off. Aha! Here we go. The Wild Beyond the Witchlight map. This is obviously it starts out over here. You're gonna work your way in here. I want to make something clear. We've had lots of new players join over the last couple of months. This is not an unlock that you're gonna go do as a new player. This is a mid-game to end-game unlock. Why is that? Well, because generally speaking, these campaigns somewhat get done in order. I mean, you do like a dash of the Sword Coast, and then you bounce the Tomb of Annihilation, and you start rocking down through these. This is a hard campaign. Wild Beyond the Witchlight is a hard campaign. It takes a lot of account power to complete stuff here. You can make it work as a newer player. The problem is as we're going to see here, we come over. Blooshi's unlock, Bully for You, has an area goal of 600 in a place that is fairly hard to push in. And because of the restrictions we're going to go over, you need a lot of champions. Like a lot of champions. Like a lot of champions. So it's not really a new player thing. It's not really a new player thing. So I just want to set your expectations here. You can still hang out and listen. This is good information. Something that you're going to be working towards. But this is a mid-game. Currently, as the game is balanced, it's a mid to end game unlock. These are when you hop in here, this is the first node. We come around. We're in the fourth node on the Prismeer map. Blooshi's variant is a variant of the Fairy Rings of Thither. I'm probably going to get questions that say, like, Gaarawarr, why is the Fairy Rings of Thither in the Hither map and not in the Thither map? I don't know. We're just rolling with it, folks. The Fairy Rings of Thither, Bully for You, or as I like to call it, Bully the Party. Bully the Party. Because this is kind of an interesting take on Split the Party. For those of you who don't know, Split the Party is a somewhat unique adventure, Split the Party 1 and Split the Party 2, that exist outside of campaigns, and they're there for you to unlock your Modron core and your multi-party. And they feature a mechanic where you lose champions on a regular basis, and you can't use them again. That's what's going on here. So let's talk about how it works here. It's a little different. Same type of thing. A bully, okay, again, complete area 600, so solid area goal. A bullywug joins the formation. Every 25 areas, the bullywug leaps to a new formation slot of the champion from the bench seat with the most available champions. There's a lot going on in this sentence, folks. There's a lot going on in this sentence. But we'll come back to that. Any champion the bullywug leaps on is knocked out for the rest of the adventure. So this is the mechanic they're using to remove champions. So it isn't just, it happens automatically for no reason when you reach a certain level, like in Split the Party. There is a bullywug that sits in your formation and takes up one of the slots. That's the red X. It will move around. It leaps onto a champion in your formation, and when it does, it knocks them out of the party. It's a bully. Get it? It knocks them out of the party, and they can't come back again. Now, it targets specific champions. It targets the champion from the bench seat with the most available champions. So this is where your bench depth comes in. It is looking at, when you click on those little swippy swappy buttons, which we'll go look at in a moment, it's counting all of the champions that are in there that are available to be used. Yes, that counts champions in your background party because those are still available. It won't count, or shouldn't count, things like whoever's off in your trials run, right? If you've sent away like Makos for the week to get you more scales, That's an unavailable champion. In Patron variants, it's not going to count anyone the Patron won't allow. So it's just counting available champions. If you've got 7 champions there and all the others in like slot 1, and every other bench slot has like 6 or less, then the bully wug is going to jump on to your slot 1 champion and knock it out. It is actually it is predictable in that sense, and we want to keep that in mind. Champions can't be removed from the formation once they've been added. So just like split the party, choose, but choose wisely. No, okay. Probably people in chat that don't even get that reference. So I'm old. So you have to make good decisions, just like in split the party. Otherwise, it's going to come back and slap you across the face later on, right? That's what it's trying to tell you here. Or there may be some current bugs that maybe let you get around this rule, yes, but here on Gaarawarr's Guide, we do things as they're intended. Okay. Fire breath potions can't be used during the adventure. So you actually have to build a formation that completes this. And click damage has no effect after area 100. Well, at least they give us through area 100. That's nice of them. That's nice of them. But after that, no click damage. No click damage. I'm seeing, maybe they fixed it so you can't swap the champions out. Good. So do it as intended, folks. The nice thing, I'm going to tell you, this nice thing about click damage working till area 100 is it frees us up a little bit in our strategy for the early game, which isn't a thing you get in Split the Party. So that is nice. That is nice. Granted, Split the Party you only have to get to like level 50, and we're getting to area 600 here, so they're throwing us a little bit of a bone, right? Okay. So this is Bully for you. This is what you have to complete. Again, I already completed it. I guess I can. You know what? Yeah, folks, we're going to do it. We're going to do Mert's Bully for you. Boy. Well, you know what? Hold on. No, not yet. Not yet. Let's go talk about Blooshi first. So let's just hop into the Fairy Rings of Thither. Oh, jeez. Oh, Data Jack, thank you. Only the penitent man will pass this variant. Yes. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about here, in situations like Bully for You, where a champion, where you can't remove champions from the formation once they're in, you want to make sure you hop into a free play and decide who your slot 1 champion is going to be, because you can't change it. It's going to auto-load in, and you can't change it, right? Like, it auto-loaded in Deacon for me because that's who was in my formation on the last run I was in, right? But I might want Deacon for some later point in this run. I don't know. So I want to make sure that that I go in and I set who I want to start out with, right? Well, here's the thing. I want to start Bully for You with... Personally, I want to start Bully for You with Nerds. So here's what I do. I throw Nerds in. And I close out. Okay. Now, when I come in, this is just good practice for any of these types of variants you're going to hop in, where it starts you off and it locks you in with who you have. Boom. Now we've got Nerds. As our first default character. Now, what is this? This means, because in Bully for You, remember, that Bully Wug is going to jump around and knock a champion out. Well, in your first 100 levels, because you can use click damage... Williat, stop it. I'm trying to do a show here. Because you're trying to use click damage, there's no need to have lots of champions in. We can I can't. Folks, for those of you watching this not live, Williat in chat said, "Stop bullying nerds." I can't. Okay. I'm a professional, I swear. I'm so not. We can now choose, by this first party slot, we can decide who the first champion that's going to get knocked out is. You might as well make it a champion you don't plan on using at the end of your run from slot 1. And then throw a familiar over here, some familiars on the field, and let click damage carry you through the first 100 levels. You're gonna lose a champion every 2,500 levels, but because you're choosing who you put in, you can basically choose to throw away some really not garbage champions, but just champions that you don't. It doesn't have to be garbage, just ones that you don't want to use at the end. Again, I'm looking at this as a slot that has a lot of champions in it, so getting one out. Knocking one out and then having only 8 left for me means it's still on the high end of slots with champions, but I can start managing those numbers and directing the bullywug to different places, right? So here's what happens. Here's Blooshi, folks. Blooshi's gonna pretend to be the bullywug that's gonna bully you out of your formation. When we get to area 25, so every 25 levels and you complete it, what happens is the bullywug's going to hop to wherever you put your champion. That's hello. I gotta stop moving things in circles. Hello, Unity window. It's going to hop to wherever you have put the champion that is the champion with the most available champions in their bench slot. Now, here's the thing. I could load in other champions from other slots. I could build a full formation. And because this slot is the one with the highest number of available champions, I know it's going to take out nerds and only nerds. Only nerds. And I can place nerds somewhere that I want the bullywug to hop. This is great for formation building because you need to plan out, as you get higher, you need to plan out your adjacency buffs. And whether you're buffing, like where's your tank line at? Like how many tanks are you going to have? 1 or 2? Like if they jump up onto your tank line, guess what? Now you're stuck with a single tank, and hopefully you can manage that. But you can make these kinds of decisions and force the bullywug to jump to the places you want them to jump, just by managing, planning out who's going to be the one that they jump to in this type of situation. So at 25, the bullywug would jump there, nerds would get knocked out, and they would get a little circle with a line through it and a picture of a bullywug on it. That's to tell you can't use this champion again. But you can come down here and you can use your swippy swappy buttons to pick a different champion and load that champion in instead. Once that hops at 25, you will have no champions out unless you had more than one. But I do recommend, just for those first 4 breakpoints, while you can use click damage, only use like one champion. There are, as you saw, there are hit-based bosses. There are also armor-based bosses. So there's segmented health bosses throughout this run. So you can't just rely on click damage. Click damage will not click through a segmented health boss before, here we go, before it gets to the end of the screen, right? Because the NPC isn't going to stop it, right? So even though this is just a hit-based boss, I can't knock off 50 chunks of armor, or of health, because I can only click off 1 every 6 seconds with familiars or regular clicks. So you have to have an actual champion out here to kill the boss. So you're just going to have to decide on the 4 that you're just completely and utterly willing to lose at the start. And you want to make really good decisions about this, kind of plan ahead, so that you can, maybe you go all out. Maybe I want Ashara all the way, right? Well, here's a great way to make sure you keep Ashara the entire run. Make the first 4 champions you lose ones from her bench slot. Don't put anybody else in. If you lose 4 from Ashara's bench slot and all you have left is Ashara, let's say you only had 5 champions here in Ashara, guess what? Ashara's going to have the lowest number of champions for a very long time. Shouldn't get knocked out, right? That's a great way to plan who you want to keep if you have a high priority champion you want to keep in for area 600, right? So keep that in mind. And you can do that through the low levels. You're going to get to a point where, through 100, you can use squishies. But after 100, you're probably going to need at least 1 tank. If not, I mean, maybe from 100 to 200, you could probably get away with health potions. And a bruiser, right? What's a bruiser? A bruiser is someone like Brunor who starts off with a little more health, or a Krull who starts off with a little more health than a Squishy, but not as much as a tank. That's a bruiser. So keep that in mind. You will eventually need to start adding multiple champions to the formation because you're going to need to kill things once you can't use click damage. So the normal game rules then start applying, but you need to be watching who you're adding from where, because sometimes you're going to run out into a situation where you've got 6 in this slot and 6 in this slot left available, and you've got one of each of those out there. Well, in that situation, the Bullywug could go to either one, and you have to be okay with that. So just know it's gonna kind of look at things like in those bar graphs, like you've got like lots of different numbers, and what it's doing is it's ticking down it's shaving off the high points until you get down, and if everything is left equal, then it's going to be completely random. You don't necessarily want to end up in that type of situation. You want to focus down slots with keepers first, if you can, by using just a few champions, and then start putting in throwaways. Not even necessarily throwaways. As you get into the 300s, 400s, 500s, the champion you put in might be with you the entire time, so you need to make sure they're at least strong enough to get you through to the end. So deep bench is important. Solid gear, important. Do you have to be full epics? Probably not, but you're going to need to make up that power from somewhere. Again, this is an in-game variant, mid to in-game variant, so you should have a lot of power in your Modron core. You should have a lot of patron perks. You should have all the blessings. Which reminds me, for this campaign currently, as we speak, you can get all of the blessings for only E24 favor. Operators are standing by. So, shoot for at least E25, E26 favor. That'll get you all the blessings in this campaign. That'll also get you soft capped around E400. Area E400. I'm seeing problems with the stream. Let's see if that helps. That should get you soft capped around E400. This is an adventure you will soft cap on, where you will buy all of your upgrades, because going to 600, that's just going to happen. It's better to have it happen earlier so you can have fewer champions out, so to make those good decisions with, than having to field a full formation early on. Okay, so shoot for E25, E26 favor at least. That's going to get you all the blessings and give you the best chance, right, to get through. Could you do it with less? Possibly. But it's not super difficult to get that. It shouldn't be super difficult for you to get that when you're attempting this variant, right? All right, let's talk about, because I don't want to do the patron version and then, oh hey, I lose Blooshi while I'm talking about Blooshi, because that's totally a Gar thing to do. It would totally happen. This is Blooshi, folks. She's a super cool preteen Bullywug Warlock. I say preteen because someone, she's 11 and a half. Neutral evil, 5 overwhelm, but Gaarawarr, it says tanking support. Why 5 overwhelm? Well, Blooshi's an interesting kind of tank. Where she's not a tank at first. She's a support at first. She's a support buffer at first, until she dies. We'll see if she dies here. She does, if you'll notice, she does have solid health. She does have some solid health starting off just by herself, which is why she's able to take some hits here from Scabatha Nightshade. No, thank you. So we're gonna let her die here. I think I leveled her up enough for this to work. Oh no, I totally might not have. Is she gonna die? Is she gonna die? Is she gonna die? No, we're gonna kill Scab with it. Oh well. Let's talk about Blooshi. So, Taunting Blast, folks. First off, we asked for it. They finally delivered. We now have a magic base attack tank. Magic base attack tank. So, Taunting Blast. Blooshi attacks with an Eldritch Blast, dealing damage and taunting, if possible. If possible. So, Blooshi is a tank with a taunt. Blooshi can taunt. Alright. Hold on. Stream issues, folks. It looks like we're getting some reports that we're having problems. Bear with me, folks. I'm not sure what the problem is. Trying to make sure I'm shutting down all non-essential operations. And we will see. Okay, I think that's better. Are we better, folks? Are we back in chat? Let me know. Let me know. Keep going, quality's just low. Okay. Alright, well, hopefully it resolved. Everything looks better on my end. Hopefully it's better on your end. I'm just going to do it. Alright, so, Blooshi. Blooshi taunts. Briv has a somewhat taunt. But Blooshi's all about, like, taunting everyone. So keep in mind that when you're dealing with a tank that taunts, they don't, if you're in a multi-tank situation, they don't work super well with other tanks that want to build up lots of enemies on them because they have ramping buffs, right? That can be a problem. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. No affiliation. This is a C&E original character. Yeah. So, first ability, Soul Gatherer. Whenever an enemy dies, Blooshi the First. Why is it? I'm just referring to it as Blooshi, but it does say Blooshi the First. Why is that? We'll get to that. Blooshi the First gains 1 soul stack. Boss enemies instead give her 15 soul stacks. Blooshi steals souls, folks. Again, evil. Blooshi the First increases the damage of champions in the 2 columns behind her by 1% for each soul stack, stacking additively. When changing areas, she loses 20% of her soul stacks. So this is tracked over here on the Formation Buffs tab under Soul Gatherer. You can see the current number of soul stacks and what the current max is. This can change. It'll tell you post-stack bonuses and multipliers, and it'll give you the total bonus you're getting, right? So all of that information is found over here on the Formation Buffs tab. But that's her Soul Gather ability. So this is one of those, you get stuck. You're trying to get past the level. She does have a stacking mechanic that you can farm up. Just remember, you're going to lose 20% of it switching levels. But you can maintain pretty solid high numbers. There's going to be a point where you just kind of, eventually you can get this up maxed out. And stay at super high buffs, right? Spirit carries on. Here we go. When Blooshi the First dies, she's replaced in the formation with her spirit. This is like Spurt, folks. If you remember our friend Spurt, this is the same kind of thing. The spirit continues to attack and can be attacked like normal. While in spirit form, her health is increased by an amount, and this amount varies. That's why I'm not listing it. And her overwhelm is increased by 20. So this is she goes into tank mode in her spirit form. Each time you defeat a boss enemy, her next of kin returns to the formation. Folks, this is a wonderful play on people playing D&D, rolling a character, and it dies, like the older versions of D&D, and it dies in like within like an hour of playing, and they're like, and they're like, well, create another character. Their cousin with the same name shows up and arrives, right? There's a little hand waving. This is a tongue-in-cheek reference to that. So Blooshi the second would be, if Blooshi the first dies, Blooshi the second appears, and so on and so forth. And this is actually how you get Blooshi's achievement. Meet the Blooshies. Have Blooshi the 8th in your formation. So you've got to let Blooshi die and come back, and next of kin come back 7 times. 7 times. To get to Blooshi the 8th. A life well lived. While Blooshi the first is in spirit form, and any of the Blooshis, they're just referring. I'm just going to say Blooshi from now on. While Blooshi is in spirit form, Soul Gatherer's damage boost gets a 10% increase, stacking multiplicatively. Remember, folks, multiplicatively is the good kind of stacking. So this can get strong, right? For each boss level that Blooshi had made it through alive during this adventure. This means you want Blooshi to live for as long as possible in a run. This is kind of like Nova. Nova has a similar mechanic where Nova collects things off bosses, collects power off bosses, but in this case, the longer you go, the deeper your runs, the stronger Nova gets. Same with Blooshi. Same with Blooshi, except there's the added requirement of Blooshi needs to stay alive. Well, how do you do that when Blooshi's kind of a squishy tank with no overwhelm early on? You do that by not making her the tank originally. Remember, she buffs people behind her, so you can put her behind the tank line, put tanks in front, or a tank and spurt, as lots of us like to do for speed, run through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of levels, and then when you finally do need to switch over to Blooshi as your tank, you can, and Blooshi will have built up a lot of these multiplicative life well lived stacks. That's how it goes, folks. That's what we want to do. Let's see if we can kill off Blooshi by taking out all the... Probably not. She's pretty solid. She's pretty solid. Choose an upgrade path for Blooshi. So first specialization. These are 100% about your primary DPS. Whoever you've chosen as your primary DPS for your wall, whoever's going to be your DPS at your wall, you want to match the specialization for. So there's melee, there's ranged, there's magic. That's it. That's it. Choose one of the... Notice there's not a click damage option. Melee, ranged, and magic. So, figure out who you want your DPS... who's going to be your DPS and match this. Match this, right? We're going to go magic attacks. What this does is it doubles the number of soul stacks that get generated by Soul Gatherer. So we'll just go ahead and match that. Yeah, we're just not going to... We're going to have to get to another boss level to try to kill off Blooshi. And it doesn't help that I'm giving her lots of health, but oh well. She will die at some point, folks. All right, so once you match that up, you keep going. A grave situation, she's got a lot of abilities, but they all kind of feed into each other. Grave situation, while Blooshi's in her spirit form, enemy attacks against her increase her current soul stacks by 1%. So remember, she's going to gain a bunch of soul stacks early on. That's up here, Soul Gatherer, when an enemy dies. But then just when you get to the point where you're not killing anything, but you're getting hit a lot, she's going to increase by 1%. This is why you can max out. You can max out these stacks real quick once you get into percent increases, right? Boss attacks increase the current soul stacks by 15%, and the soul stack cap goes from 10,000 to 100,000, right? 100,000. So lots more power here. Remember, for every stack, you're getting a percent bonus to the people behind her. We can see the total once again over here. Soul Gatherer, this would go up to 100,000, but I mean we're already up to 6,000. 6 EO3 bonus with only 100 stacks. So it can climb pretty solidly, folks. Climb pretty solidly. All right. So Grave's situation going to increase, turn her into stack increases by tanking, and then give her a higher value. Don't Croak is her health share. Increases the health of all other champions by 25% of her max spirit health. So it only works when she's in her spirit form, which again we're not going to see because she's too awesome. She's killing everything. I want you to know, Blooshi is not the most healthful of tanks. Even when you get the bonus, like right now, we've got, we have very little health because she's not in tank form yet. But even when she switches to tank form, not super tons of health. She becomes tankier, but when I was looking at things last night, the lowest health of the tanks I was comparing her to, I just did a quick comparison with some of the more common tanks. The lowest health. Part of that may be, and we'll get to this, part of that may be she doesn't get a direct health feat. She doesn't get any of the direct health feats. She has an ability here called, or a feat here called I'll Be Back, which is a 20% increase to the health bonus she gets from Spirit Carries On. Currently it doesn't work, but most other tanks get these 15 and 30% feats, so she's got a weird feat situation, which I guess makes sense for a bullywug. Oh. Yep, Saturday morning shows, folks. This is what you get. All right. So the final specialization. This is a more specific choice. It's not just about your primary DPS. No. What you're looking at here is a damage reduction. So she'll take half damage when she's in spirit form, which is okay. Or you build up soul stacks faster. Here's the thing. It really feels like in my testing that you're going to max out. Well, as you get further, you're going to max out these stacks pretty easily. So, Wild Spirit would be more like, you're not doing a deep run and you just want to get as much power as possible out of Blooshi as quickly as possible. You would do Wild Spirit. You're not going to need like the extra half damage, which, isn't a huge ton. It helps. It helps with her health. I mean, it gives her twice as much effective health, right? But she's more than that down from other tanks. So, yeah, generally speaking, you're going to go Resilient Spirit. Generally, you're going to go with Resilient Spirit because Wild Spirit's going to max out. But if you're just going to do quick runs and you just want her to have a power on that run, you can go Wild Spirit. You can. It's okay. It's okay. I believe that's everything from her abilities list. Yes. Okay. We'll talk about her ultimate here in a moment. No, actually, we can demonstrate it right now. So, Spirit Charge. Bullywug's spirits fly in, picking up each enemy and tossing them back 25% of the screen, dealing damage to each of them. I'm going to let some things build up here so that you can see how in the different places they're going to move in different ways. All right, here we go. See how they pick them all up individually, but then they're gone. It's a very quick effect. It's only going to manage the enemies that are on the screen while it's passing. And it's going to do a knockback, 25% relative to where they are. And do damage. Right? Decently long cooldown. But she does have a cooldown reduction item. So that can be helpful. Item-wise, damage all champions. Soul Gatherer item. Health bonus. In a weird way, it's to the Spirit Carries On because that's how she kind of gets her health bonus. But she does get health upgrades along the way. Yeah. So it's interesting. I think this may help her get some more competitive health if you really bump this up. Mine's still fairly low. It isn't epic, but it's fairly low item levels. That may help her be a little more competitive, but right off the bat, she's going to be kind of squishy. A little squishy bullywug. Life Well Lived item, and then we go into ultimate attack damage and ultimate cooldown items. So pretty straightforward. Nothing too wild about our bullywug friend. Feat-wise, she starts off with a lot of base feats. So we get increase damage of all champs. She does have Overwhelm feats. That's nice. Again, we're missing the basic health feats, so she has this specific 20% one, but she doesn't. But that's it. There isn't a higher one. And like I said, right now, well, hold on. Is it? Well, we'll see when she dies and turns into a spirit. Yesterday, this broke and wasn't working. And then there's a straight up Soul Gatherer 20%. So, off the top, if you're looking for damage, you're going right here. You're going right here. If you're looking for tankiness, it should be, these two, right? So they're at least giving you a decent set of options. You are going to be able to get gem feats for the higher damageable champs. There's a life well lived 40%. There's a Soul Gatherer 40%, so you can really max these things out. There's also the Destructor, which increases the max stacks of Soul Gatherer by 40%. Now, when you're only at the 10,000 level, that only takes you to 14,000. But when you're at the 100,000 level, that's 140,000 stacks. And if you're able to max those out, this is the way. These two together would be basically double dipping on Soul Gatherer and giving you the major buffs. Now, again, that leaves her very squishy. But we don't have a whole lot outside of an Overwhelm feat to protect against her squishiness. And as I've stated before, Overwhelm feats, they're okay. It just depends on what's killing her. If you're dying before you even get overwhelmed, then this isn't going to help. That's what those straight up health feats are for, right? Yeah. So pretty solid set of feats. It's just a little questionable that there aren't the health feats there. Okay, we're not going to... I have a feeling we're just not going to be able to kill off Blooshi. I leveled her up too much. She doesn't have a lot of health, but she's just killing everything. She's just killing everything. Let's see if we can let some enemies pile up. So Blooshi, no affiliation. So this is just a straight up champion that you're going to be able to put in mix with just about any formation. She is evil, so your champions that like evil things, like Krond, she works as an evil tank. She also has, this is a positional formation ability because it is champions in the two columns behind her, so she would work with, this should get usurped from Archon and Artemis. And because it covers multiple columns, especially for Artemis, he likes that because you can have it can hit lots of the different DPS champions that are in there. Yeah, there are champions that are going to like these types of things. That's who Blooshi's going to work well with. But because she is just a straight up solid buffer who doesn't have a lot of requirements, and you can specialize, how she builds up her stack, she's going to work with just about everyone. All right, here we go. Blooshi's about to die, folks. This is going to be great. Boom! There's Spirit Blooshi, folks. There's Spirit Blooshi. Spirit Blooshi suddenly got a lot healthier. Look at that, folks. From 1561 up into the EO4s. Now, this all of a sudden changes a lot of what we're looking at, right? So we now have soul stacks, max 100,000. We can see it's climbing a lot quicker now because it's climbing in terms of percents. So we can see the bonus is going up and up and up. We're not even remotely close to the cap, and it's already in the EO6s. We can see the additional health that was added. Not a super amount. And let's see if they fix this. 369 EO4. Hey, they fixed it. Okay, so this health bonus does work currently. It's just the 20% is just still feels kind of small for a somewhat squishy tank. Her overwhelm did go up, though. That's what we were looking for. And now, boss is defeated while alive. We can see that number. It was 12. You can see the bonus you're getting. Ideally, you want to go a lot more bosses than this, obviously. But that's what we're looking at. All right. And it's telling you now, hey, this is how much health she would be sharing with other people if she were going to do that. Now, here's the thing. If we make our way through to the boss level, like on regular levels, she's going to stay in spirit form because she died, right? If we can make it through a boss level, that's when she's going to come back and B, her next of kin. Her next of kin feature is going to kick in. It's going to take a moment to get through all of... How did we end up on Scabatha again? Boy. Oh, boy. Go away. Nice to know that her ultimate does work on bosses. The bosses that move, at least. Bosses that move, at least. But yeah, so this is ultimately... Blooshi's going to return. It should go from Blooshi the 1, Blooshi the 1st to Blooshi the 2nd. And she will, be back to life. Now the death does interact with champions like Strix and Desmond. So just like Spurt, her and Spurt get along real well. Just like Spurt, they will trigger the counters for Strix or Desmond. Desmond looks at, if you have any dead champions in the formation. Well, Spurt and Blooshi count as dead champions, even though they're just in their spirit form, so those buffs work. And since Desmond really starts to get strong at 2 dead champions, that was awesome. Turned into a gravestone, and now she's back. She's back, folks. Blooshi the 2nd. Since Desmond starts to get really good at around 2 slots in the formation taken up either by escorts or by dead champions, you can really start ramping up Desmond's bonuses with a combination of Blooshi and Spurt. And maybe an escort or 2, right? And then Strix, every time Blooshi dies and comes back again, that's going to increment Strix's death counter, just like Spurt's ultimate. Just like Spurt's ultimate. All right, I'm going to complete this, and we're going to dive into the... well, I'll show you a little bit of how the variant works under Mert. Under Mert. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right. So the main difference here is that I'm going to have fewer champions to work with, folks. I'm going to have fewer champions to work with. So there's our bullywug friend. Well, I'm not going to call him a friend. He's a bully. He's a bully, and he's a bullywug. So here we go. I'm going to throw Sisaspia out as the first. Now, what's going to happen here is, again, because this is the Patron version, these champions wouldn't count towards the total champions in the slot. So in slot 1, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 champions, right? That's how it's going to make a choice. But because early on at the beginning, I'm only going to have 1 champion out, it's always going to go to the one champion, right? So this is how you can pick where it's going to go. After this, like if I wanted to keep, I can't keep Ashara because Mert. After this, if I wanted to keep Zorbu as my DPS, then what I would do is I would come down here and I would knock out and I would feed one at a time some of these other champions, starting with the squishies and then working up to a tank, and then I would finally be able to put Zorbu in later as my DPS, as my primary DPS option, without risk of losing him for the rest of the adventure. Right, so this is how we talked about earlier on, that you manage who's going to get taken away. So we will let this do its thing, and you can watch in the background during the Q&A. So we're going to stop. We're going to head into the Q&A. We're going to take a short break, a little musical interlude. Oh, what did I set up? Oh yeah, because Blooshi is an evil friendo. I set up a couple songs with some other, morally gray individuals that Blooshi would probably think they're really cool and want to hang out with. Oh, look, the frog's hanging out on the log. Yeah. All right, be right back, folks.
Creeping in the shadow, mischief in his eye, the thief who stole the world, progenitor of life. By the time he started talking, it's already far too late. He'll take a single coin, rearrange your fate. He's the boy who tricked the devil. He's the man who became a god. Words and trickery, his tools. All humanity, his fools and best friends with demons and ghouls. If you've come to bargain, he'll listen to your plea. A pact of life for power, nothing comes for free. By the time you see him smiling, he's taking full control. Take care in how you don't jeopardize your soul. He's the boy who tricked the devil. He's the man who became a god. Words and trickery, his tools. All humanity, his fools and best friends with demons and ghouls. If you move against him, you'll be resigned alone. And if his plans do fail, he'll have another clone. He's the boy who tricked the devil. He's the man who became a god. Words and trickery, his tools. All humanity, his fools and best friends with demons and ghouls. So beware of breaking his rules.
That's amazing.
And we're back. Let me try that again with captions on. And we're back. I turned captions off so I could sing along and nobody would see the horrible singing in the captions. All right. I kind of threw out two of these just because I wanted to demonstrate. I know I probably shouldn't have chosen Blooshi. But this is kind of the random 6 to 1, half a dozen to the other. Remember, it is, I've got 5 sitting here and 1 on the field, and I've got 5 over here and 1 on the field. This is the situation you don't want to get in, if possible, folks. You don't want to get in a situation where you have the same number of available champions, because then you're just going to lose a random one. But, it may happen. It may happen. All right, I'm going to hit up all the questions that came in. Jordan's been pulling those through the first half of the show. So, if you have any questions about Blooshi, about Bully for You, or about anything else, drop them in chat. I will get to them. I'm going to do the on-topic stuff first. So anything about Blooshi related stuff. Connellan, the variants and adventures in Icewind Dale seem a bit more difficult overall than Witchlight. With Blooshi being available after fewer Witchlight adventures than Xeraphon, is in terms of Icewind Dale, would you recommend players go from Avernus to Witchlight and then back to Icewind Dale? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Yeah, I would say Xeraphon is a kind of a difficult unlock. A lesson in classes is rough. But there is value in going to Icewind Dale, grabbing enough favor to grab the global blessings, and then coming to Witchlight, right? Doing these things in order you tend to build up account power that you may not notice. So you might totally, if you want to try, be able to go straight from Avernus to Witchlight. It may be a little more difficult because you're missing a little bit of power. It may not. Really, with Blooshi, you want a deep bench. You are, for sure, losing 23 champions from your bench during this run. 23. You want to have 9 solid champions left at the end, so that means you need at least 32 champions in your roster. You should have that before you get to Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Should. If you've been doing the campaigns in order. It should have taken long enough for you to build up that roster. If not, you don't want to run straight to Blooshi. You just don't. Because you're going to end up with if you have 28 champions for some reason, you're going to end up with 5 champions on the field. That might be a little hard to get 600 levels with. So keep in mind, the Blooshi has a lot to do with how deep your bench is and how solidly they're geared, rather than overall power. I mean, you still need to get 600 levels. That can be challenging. Ooh, which one's it going to take? They left the bullywug. Nice. All right. What do we got next? Valdemar Night Road. Can an entire slot be eliminated in this variant? In the situation that you only had, let's say, 4 available champions in a slot, and you fed them out at the start of the run before 100 using click damage, yes. Outside of that, it would be... because normally you're going to have, at a certain point past that, you're going to have multiple champions out, and you'd have to empty multiple. I think the chances of it happening in potentially in a patron variant are higher than the regular version. I don't think in the regular version unlocking Blooshi would happen unless you went in with just not a super great bench. But it could totally happen. Absolutely. Like if you went in real fresh at let's say 48 champions, which is enough to do this. So 4, and you had 4 in each bench slot equally. Sure, you could empty out a bench slot. You might even, I don't know if you can empty out 2. You could probably work at it. Someone's out there is going, Gauntlet Throne! But it would be an interesting challenge, right? I need somebody with much higher. Oh no. Oh yeah, okay, we can do this. Oh no, let's do Viconia. I'm like, I need somebody else out here to get bullywugged on, to get bullied out of the formation. So let's demonstrate. So the last time it hopped up, we knew it hopped up to the top. It should be removing our friend, our neutral evil friend Viconia this time. Because we have 6 over here, and a 7 here, right? So math tells me I should lose Viconia next. And because I want the frog to hop up here, just because. So that's what it's going to do for me. Foolish Genius, in Bully for You, if you are with Blooshi, if you go multiple levels, like real quick, for example, you bud spiked, for some reason, do you lose 20% of her stacks per area completed. Yes, that's what it says. Yes. So, when changing areas, she loses 20% of her soul stacks. So, if you spiked and are now flying through multiple stages, you lose 20% per stage. But remember, it's 20% multiplicative, not additive, right? So, losing 20% multiple times, like you could lose 20% 5 times, you're not at 0, right? That's what I'm trying to say. So, just keep that in mind. So you're going to go down, but then you're going to slow down eventually, and you're going to start building them back up again, right? All right. What else do we have? James the Bear, where does Blooshi come from? I don't remember collecting a frog. Well, Blooshi's brand new. That's probably why you don't remember it. It's probably why you don't remember it. Blooshi comes from the Wild Beyond the Witchlight campaign. It's the most recent campaign. You got to get about halfway through. Well, that's about they've only added about half of the campaign so far, if that. So you got to get to the current end. You got to get to right up here near Downfall, to the Fairy, the Rings of Thither, and it's the variant Bully for you. So you have to actually go do it. Now, the regular version, this is the Mert version. The regular version, you have to get to 600. So, man. I just realized that means I lose 4 more champions. And each of the other patrons are going to be worse than that. Wow. My Idle Chatter Patron Edition is going to be interesting as we attempt those in the next few weeks. If you want to watch that, hit up my channel, Twitch TV/Gaarawarr. Foolish Genius 89, the soul stack increased by 40%. Feat looks bugged. Then report it. Still says 10k max stacks. Is that a bug or am I looking at it wrong? No, it should go up. So if it's not, report it. I don't have that. I haven't unlocked that feat yet, so I can't test it at the moment. Frowning Fish, how have you managed so many shinies on Blooshi already? I had, well, first of all, I had a lot of silvers, and I got streamer luck yesterday on stream. I geared up Blooshi on stream on GG2E. I opened 50 silvers and got a shiny. That was one. And then I had a bunch of store packs that I'd saved up for a very long time that had guaranteed shinies in them from like wild offers and things that I'd bought over like the last 6 or 7 months. And because they had guaranteed shinies, that blinged my Ishi out my Blooshi out real quick. Yeah. Otherwise, I would have just done lots of silvers, opened lots of silvers. I've got 1,110,000 and something gems. I could have just bought lots of silvers and done it. How does her death work with characters that have effects that trigger on deaths, like Baloth? Is it ignored? Does it trigger later? That's a very good question. She's not actually dying like Spurt. So that effect should work like with Spurt only when the spirit is about to die. Only when the spirit is about to die. I say should because I haven't specifically tested it, but Baloth doesn't. Baloth and Orkira don't jump in and save Spurt from his ultimate. So they shouldn't jump in and save Blooshi either. Shouldn't. It's a brand new champion. Sometimes you got to test that stuff out. Unfortunately, I can't test it out in this exact specific moment. Hey, our frog friendo jumped up there like we wanted him to, folks. It's almost like sometimes I know what I'm talking about when it comes to figuring out strategies. We're going to end up losing. Oh, no. Okay, here we go. I can come over here. I don't want to. I'm going to throw out. Let's throw out some. We're absolutely going to feed Rosie Beestinger. Absolutely going to feed the Beestinger. All right. I'm going to have him jump over there this time. I am not making good choices. I just want to point this out. I am not going in with a plan. I'm just demonstrating how you can choose from the highest slots to save certain champions and decide where the frog goes. This is not a well thought out run. I'm not making good decisions. I want to make sure everybody understands that. Make good decisions on your runs. That's not related to Blooshi. Okay. All right. Okay, I think that's everything. We're going to go back and we're going to hit general questions, folks. General questions. So if you have general questions, or if you think of something that has to do with Blooshi and Bully for you, hit me up. But there we go. Taboo Mantis. Yesterday you were stipulating something about Baldur's Gate being easy after you finish it. You're real close. Can you give more details, please? What is easy after completing Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus campaign is getting patron influence. Why is that? Because there are some, as we pointed out yesterday on stream, there are some variants over here that... No, that's not it. Here we go. Here's one. There are some variants over here that have some high completion areas. It's actually 450 again. I'm on Mert. Where this restriction doesn't mean anything. They're just adding some extra enemies that don't drop stuff, but that's not really a super difficult restriction. So you can come in here with these patron versions. Again, 550, like the normal one is 450, so you should be able to beat this pretty straightforwardly once if you've completed all of Avernus. This should be no hassle because you did quest lines and this isn't a real difficult restriction. So coming back and doing it with Mert and Bajra and Strahd and Zariel, you get solid influence and currency because the completion area is so high. And there's not a real restriction, so it feels like just doing a regular adventure. The only real restriction is it's got a higher completion area now, and you have fewer champions, right? There's also over here, Relentless Peril. Basically, the ghouls die and get back up again, right? We know how that works. They've got twice as much health as normal, but whatever. Again, not a super difficult restriction, but it does have a high completion area. So these types of variants in Baldur's Gate, once you've proven that you have the damage to push through and complete Elturel's Last Stand, you can go back to this and just get lots of influence and currency just from a couple variants. Just from those two alone are gonna just make you all the influence that you've needed, way more than trying to grind out stuff before this in like Waterdeep or Tomb, right? Because those other areas don't have the same high completion area. So finding this is kind of the first step in finding the ability to get lots of influence, like bucket loads of influence for your patrons, as opposed to trying to grind it out the hard way. That was what I was referring to. So it's not that Baldur's Gate is easy after that. It's just that getting patron influence, suddenly you can get just a bunch of it and jump straight up to tier 4, tier 5, maybe perks with your with at least with at least Mert and Vajra, tier 3, tier 4 with or higher with Strahd and Zariel. With minimal effort. Suraquas or Suraquas. Time gate question. It is a time gate weekend. Hit me up with those questions. My new champ choices are Strix or Keelek. I have 3 in Keelek slot and 3 in Strix's slot. Okay, that's what I need to know. So this is just which of those is going to be better for you. Probably... yeah, probably Keelek. Strix has a debuff as a support. She's an okay DPS, can be a bit limited in some situations. She has a support debuff that's nice, but again, it's limited in certain situations. Keelek is just straight up buffer and healer, so having a straight up buffer healer option usually a little bit better of an option. So go with Keelek. Kitty McSparkles, are there pity timers on epics? Yes. If there are, does it function for the same champ's gold chest only or across gold champ chests? Every type of gold chest in the game has its own unique pity timer, and it's all tracked. It's all tracked in the background. So like right now, my gold Mert patron chests are 1 in 9. They're all it shows you what the pity timer is in here. The first time you ever get a chest, so your first interaction with a chest, like every weekend, if you've signed up for the newsletter, they send you a weekend chest, one of the weekend promo chests. Well, those are There's an exception to every rule, but those are always unique. There's an exception to that. So it will always show up the first time you interact with a chest. It will show up as a pity timer of 4. They make your pity timer a little easier to get you an epic real quick. And again, that is an epic piece of gear, not an epic potion or blacksmithing contracts. Those don't affect the pity timer. It's a pity timer about the gear you get. After that, it goes to 10. It's always 1 in 10 after that. So like my gold chests are at 1 in 10. My Strahd patron chests are 1 in 6. Modron component chests are a little odd. They're the only chest that has a pity timer, and they're not gold chests. And honestly, sometimes epics are nice, but most early they're only nice later. Early on, it's just like, I just need the right pieces, and I don't care what color they are. But yeah, every chest is going to have a pity timer, right? They're all tracked. Right. Question: should I get, for my time gate, should I get Narak or Jaheira? And you have 3 in each of those already. Okay, so it's just straight up Narak or Jaheira. Ooh. So here's the thing. Narak currently functions as really just as someone you bring in situationally to buff a specific like champion's abilities or some champion's abilities via his gifts or eye focus. That's it. That's what he's got, is gifts or eye focus. It's not a huge buff, but it can be real nice for certain things. Certain things like Orkira stacking, or a gold or a Zaka farming. Like it has very niche uses. He's not just a general usage support champion, and he's definitely not a DPS, even though it says that. So its DPS is okay, but it's not. He's not a go-to DPS. Jaheira can be a support or DPS in far more situations. But I note that you have Baloth in that slot already, and Baloth, you also have Desmond as a backup. Baloth, #1 stunner in slot 4. So, the time you would only ever be using Jaheira if you can't use Baloth. So there's a backup there, but Jaheira is probably broader use case scenario than Narak, but Narak is a solid thing. So it's I basically what I'm saying is either are okay, and you're going to be happy to have. Nothing. Neither of them are standouts. Dennis, I see a lot of experts here. Any pack or DLC from the store a day one noob should buy. There is something called a Founders Pack. I already own it, so I can't show it off to you. Generally seen as the best value for your money. You get like a skin for a champion, whether or not you like that or not is a whole other thing. But you get a familiar, you get a bunch of chests, you get some potions that are real nice that help you get started off early. And generally for the money, that's a solid buy. But ultimately depends on what your disposable income looks like how much you're spending to buy. I think that's like a $20 pack. If you're more like, hey, I want to drop like $50 on the game because I'm really liking it, and I want like the best bang for my buck, Champions of Renown Year 4 All-Star Pack. They've thrown 3 of the strong champions in different reasons. Orkira here with the wings is the queen of debuffs. Humans, their majesty of speed, we'll say. There's 3 kobolds and a trench coat. And Balos, the kind of the... He doesn't have the highest... He's not the highest support buffer in the game, but he has some manipulative gameplay that's just incredibly strong. Talon's great for debuffs. Eliwick, hit or miss, but these are all solid, and you get lots of gear for each of them. And a cool skin for Human. That's probably the best of the all-star packs out. Yeah. So that's probably a couple different levels of stuff. Minsk you already have as a core champion. This is just a neat skin pack, so that's not a thing. But like Yorvin's an interesting champion, and the pack isn't super expensive. Sentry's an interesting champion, and the pack isn't super expensive. So it just depends on what level of disposable income you have. Oh, hey, our Bullywug friend hopped. He hopped and he knocked out another. He hopped out another champion. So we're gonna have to. Oh, we don't have a I don't have a way to guarantee to keep my friend, your friend, our friend, Blooshi, safe here. So we're just gonna have to gamble. We're just gonna have to gamble. We're gonna have to roll the dice and see what happens. Who do I? Let's get the. I haven't had the Minotaur boy in a formation in a while. Let's put. He looks real cool, and he's evil, so you know. They'd get along. All right. Back to questions. Again, Jordan's grabbing questions from chat. If you have a question, ask, because I'm running low on questions. And when I run low on questions, I just start talking about stuff. That's not for everybody. JVC Aguiar. Which champion would you choose from the free time gate weekend if you don't already own any of them and already completed Split the Party? Stokey, Jaheira, or Cathris? Well, if you completed Split the Party, did you also complete Split the Party 2? That's what I need to know. JVC Aguiar. If you haven't completed Split the Party 2, how many champions do you have in those slots? Because without knowing that, I mean, I would probably lean into Jaheira. Again, Jaheira is probably more generally useful than the others. I'm hearing you have. So Jaheira is probably generally more useful than Stokey and Cathris. Yeah. Probably Jaheira. J-Dog, how close are you to 3 champions per... Oh, that wasn't for me. That was for them. Okay, that was a follow-up. Yeah. Got it. Notice 66, what is a pity timer? Pity timers are bad luck protection, basically. So this is a pity timer. It's basically how long until you're guaranteed to get an epic piece of gear. Because an epic piece of gear, while the odds are maybe like, I don't know, 60-something%, 70-something%, you're going to get somewhere in there that you're going to get an epic out of any given chest. RNG means you could open hundreds and not ever get one, but unless they put in some kind of protection, and that's what a pity timer is. So they're taking pity on you. You're guaranteed if you open 9 chests and you don't get an epic, that 10th is going to have one in it. Now, obviously, it's going to track that number, so, you know, I'm guaranteed in the next 6 that could happen. If I get it before then, it resets the timer. Some things in this game, like epic gear, have pity timers. Some things, like shinies, don't. Shinies are these silver inner borders. These can drop out of any chest that has gear in it. But there's a 1 in 1,000 chance for it to drop. It's very low, and there's no pity timer. There's no bad luck protection. So you could open, like I did yesterday, I popped 50 silver chests. I got a shiny for Blooshi. You could open 50,000 silver chests and not get one. There's no protection. Again, Foolish Genius again. Is Blooshi's Destructor feat bugged? I don't know. I don't have Blooshi. Hold on. I am not Sean. I don't know all the active bugs in the game. Where am I going? Feats. What does it come from? Destructor. Gold chests. All right, here. I hadn't opened the gold chests for Blooshi yet. Let's open 50 gold chests. Let's see if I can get Blooshi's feats. I didn't get any feats out of my gold chests yesterday when I was opening them. So, did I get them all? Oh, they added feats. Oh, I was robbed. I forgot they added some overwhelm feats to some other champions. All right, let's open 50 more. Let's see if I can get the rest of Blooshi's feats. Nope. Yeah, there we go. Okay, there's Soul Gatherer. Okay. Oh, jeez. I was like, again? All right. Okay, let's go look. So we can come over here and we can see this says grave situation has been increased or would be increased to 100,000. Right now, I don't look like it's... For some reason, Blooshi is not gathering spirits on this level? Hold on. Hold on, folks. She hasn't been gathering spirits on this run at all. Blooshi's brand new. If you run into situations like this, submit a bug report. But the first thing to do is to switch parties or restart your client if you don't have multiple parties. No, I'm not getting... I am not getting soul stacks. Deneener, it doesn't matter where she is. She gets soul stacks from anywhere. We saw this on the free play I was in earlier. She starts out as a support, not as a tank, so she can be anywhere. It doesn't matter. Last run I was getting soul stacks from anything, because it just says whenever an enemy dies, not when Blooshi kills one or when enemies kill one. So, my Blooshi currently broken on this run. For some reason that I don't know. For some reason that I don't know. Am I at 10k souls? I'm not at any k souls. It's literally not tracking any... It's literally not tracking anything for Soul Gatherer. You know what? Here we go. Bam. Let me just fully restart. We'll see if we can flush this out. We're doing it live, folks. I already tried changing parties. That didn't work. So now we're going to do the full-on. The full-on thing. Dungeons and Dragons. Idle Champions. Ah, ha, ha. Okay. Is that going to fix things? Nope. Nope. All right. Maybe it's just that I'm using Blooshi on Blooshi's Unlock Adventure and the game doesn't like that. And the game doesn't like that. I don't know, folks. I don't know. So we will... The game just doesn't want me to check to see if it's broken or not. But here's the thing. If you have visual soul stacks and you slot that feat and the max doesn't go from 10,000 to 14,000 or 100,000 to 140,000, submit a bug report. It may functionally be working. It may functionally be allowing you to get up to 140,000. You can check that by seeing if the buff goes up higher than 100,000 would be. It may just be a visual error, or it may just not be working. It may just not be working. Either way, you need to submit a bug report so that they can fix it. Sir Kaladin, with Blooshi and Desmond, do you think Viper is actually useful now? Oof. I mean, Viper's been useful as a kind of one of those mid-range DPS. There are some people that are full-on fans of Viper and think they're a super strong champion. I'm not in that category. I'm a fan of Black Viper. She's my second favorite champion in the game. But with Blooshi and Desmond, I don't know. I mean, I think there's going to have to be... People are going to have to do some tests, probably a lot, and see how much just the addition of these last two champions has helped. Blooshi doesn't like to be in the back. It shouldn't matter. Blooshi goes where I tell Blooshi to go. But it shouldn't matter at all. What the heck? Hold on. Hold on. Souls? No souls. There is nothing here. This is a bug, folks, because there is nothing here that says she can't be in the back row, or that gaining souls is based off her being somewhere other than the back row. Nothing. So that's a bug. That's a bug. But, hey, we figured it out. It's also, it didn't track those souls that I picked up. Say, soul. So we are gathering souls. We are gathering souls now, supposedly. Still not visually. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Now it is. Now it is. Okay, so now I can come over here. Max 10,000 is what the soul stack says. I could swap in the destructor. Destructor. It still says max 10,000. So there's a bug there. I don't know what the bug is. I don't know if it's a visual bug or a functional bug. So yeah, that's something that needs to be reported. That's something that needs to be reported. But now I can go I can go full on Soul Gatherer, which is what I would want to do here. But yeah, it's real odd. This shouldn't matter. This shouldn't matter. Enemies are still dying. It doesn't matter that she can't buff anybody. She should still be collecting souls. So right now it seems like it's functioned base off. I wonder if, hold on. Does this make her do it? Well, no, that wouldn't. Because there's no one to usurp it off of, and up there it wouldn't matter. So yeah, no, that doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't know. She's bugged. She got a bug. They'll fix it. Report it and they'll fix it. Kitty McSparkles, how deep do you recommend pushing in a time gate if you're using it to farm favor for another campaign? I'm trying to get that E44 potion buff? Oh. I know what you're talking about. Is it Tiamat or is it the other one? One of these. Oh, potent potions. Yeah, this one. Man. That's rough to get from time gates, not gonna lie. I mean, if you're actively trying to use time gates for that, you just have to push as far as you can. The problem is time gates, compared to an event, for every EO1, so for every order of magnitude of favor you get, that's these numbers up here, this is 51 orders of magnitude. For every order of magnitude of favor you get, in a time gate, it's a 2.5% multiplier on your main campaign, compared to an event, which is a 10% multiplier. So you put in a lot of work, same amount of work pushing deep in a time gate versus pushing deep in an event, and you only get a quarter of the reward out of it in a time gate. So ultimately, you don't want to work overly hard just to increase that number another EO1. Generally speaking, in an event or a time gate, if it's taking you multiple deep favor runs to just get like 2 or more to get just 1 EO1 increase, you're probably done. Yeah, it's going to take a little while to get that with time gates. TG Nubis, will Blooshi take slot 2 from Krydle and be main tank for Artemis formations? Here's what I can tell you. I mean, you're going to have to, it's going to depend on gear and total buff values. Blooshi is evil. That doesn't necessarily matter for Artemis, but Blooshi does have this ability that spans two rows, kind of like Krydle's, but it's the 2 rows behind her, which makes for a more flexible formation than Krydle's. Krydle's is just the back 2 rows of the formation. So you still have the same potential for covering a similar number of champions in any kind of formation with their buff. Blooshi just is freer in where she can be placed. Man, I mean, with this 140 stacks, if you can cap that out and you get a solid multiplier from where is it? A Life Well Lived. Like, you can go super deep. I feel like she should outpace Artemis. But the people that do the numbers in the Discords are the ones that are going to have to tell you if that math lines up. It just feels like it should get there. Or should outpace Kreidel, excuse me. Feels like she should get there, because Kreidel isn't super strong as a buffer. Kreidel has limitations on who his buffs can even apply to as well, and Blooshi doesn't. So I feel like Blooshi's an all-around better choice, but math matters in these situations. So Satoshi, there have been multiple times I've gotten 2 epic drops at the pity timer. Yeah, I mean, there's just a chance in every time you open a chest that has epic gear in it that it could drop multiple. I think the most I've seen it drop, I think somebody showed a picture with like 3 epics from one chest, maybe. Or maybe that was multiple. I don't know. I've slept since then. Is that the guaranteed one plus the random? Yeah, it's a guaranteed, and you're also getting another random. That's extremely lucky. Foolish Genius, what happens when Blooshi taunts an enemy, but she's not in the tank line? Nothing? Well, so this depends. This depends on a couple different things. If it's a melee enemy, yeah, I mean, they're just Blooshi taunted them, but it doesn't matter. They can't get to her. If they could, they'd go to her. If they were to kill off your front line, they'd probably beeline right at Blooshi. But there are situations where you can be facing ranged enemies that potentially can attack anywhere in a formation. This isn't often, but it happens. And Blooshi should draw that fire her way. So that's something you have to keep in mind. Man. Yeah, there are some variants where ranged enemies, some places where ranged enemies will spawn and they will attack anyone in the formation. That's a situation where Blooshi would taunt, and that's actually a good thing. Blooshi can tank from the back in that situation, and you know, with the taunt, you can help keep your formation alive a little better without needing them to be in the front line. I mean, that's the thing. The interesting thing about taunts is we've only ever had one taunt in the game. So this we only currently had, before Blooshi, one taunt in the game, and that was on Briv. And Briv would taunt things if you didn't have Briv in the front line, but you just couldn't tell, right? So same type of situation where only in very specific circumstances would you notice if they weren't in the front line. Hey, Super Steve, how would you set up your Ashara pushing formation with Blooshi? Does Ikoria come in? Well, so here's the thing with Ikoria. Yeah, I mean, Blooshi qualifies for Ikoria because Blooshi is a magic attacker, so that's a bonus to you there. Again, whether you use Ikoria or not depends on if Ikoria is your best choice or not. People have gotten mad at me in the past because I've had Tyrell in instead of Ikoria in my pushing formations with Ashara. And it's because my Tyrell is just a beast. My Ikoria is catching up. She's catching up. But in my tests, Tyrell has worked better, like in Moonbeam, than Ikoria. Or if I'm using Tyrell as a tank, well then Ikoria existing doesn't even matter if I need Tyrell's survivability. So it just depends on that situation is going to depend. Now, are you going to use Blooshi with Ashara? You can. How would I set that up? Well, I would go Potpourri, of course, but then I would probably use that might free up me to using an exotic bond, right? So a Bullywug qualifies under exotic, so that might be a situation where I'm not using a short folk formation, so I could use I could use Dragon Bait, or I could go all in on these ramping tanks, and I could go Nova with Blooshi and Xeraphon. Like, ooh, that's like if you know you're going 800, 1,000 or more levels on a run. Nova, Blooshi, and Xeraphon are going to have all the time they want to ramp up all their things, and that could potentially be a pretty powerful Ashara formation. Again, my only worry is Blooshi's squishiness. Archon's not the most healthful of tanks. He's sitting at 433 EO5 here. He does not. Archon is a tank that does not have a health item, and he's at 433 EO5. Blooshi's lower than that. Blooshi isn't even at EO5. So... I don't know. I don't know how good Blooshi's going to be as a deep pusher, but I mean, that doesn't mean I have to use Blooshi. I want to use Blooshi in the tank line, but it doesn't mean I have to. And if I have maybe some other real solid health tanks, it may be enough. Maybe enough with some health potions. Maybe now you finally have to break out some health potions, folks. Snores a lot. Do you get the silver chest each? Okay, in a time gate. Let me make sure we're talking about the right topic here. In a time gate, do you get the silver chest each time you rerun the time gate to 100, or only each time you reach 100 further? So it's maybe it's the way I read this, but it's two separate questions and with two separate answers. If I go and I start a time gate for, what was I going to do this weekend? Cisaspia? It's a free time gate weekend, folks. Don't forget to go get your free champion. One of the three at the top. So I'm going to do Cisaspia this weekend. Now, when I do a run and I clear 100 in this time gate, if I just were to go to like 105 and complete the adventure and move on to the next adventure, I will have gained one or more silvers because I've got the perk that gives me potentially more silvers, but I will get a guaranteed silver drop at 100. On the next adventure I run in this same time gate, going past 100 doesn't get me anything. I would have to then get past 200. It's unique, every unique 100 level increment. So think of it as a high water mark, and as you get further and further, you have to then pass that to get more chests, right? Now I complete the time gate, like I close the time gate, and I decide I'm going to reopen another Cisaspia time gate. So a completely different time gate for the same champion. It refreshes those high water marks back down to 0, and I can get at every unique 100 chests, every unique 100 levels again. So for each time you do a time gate, it resets those marks. But when you're in the same time gate, it has to be unique 100 levels. Kitty makes the sparkles. Oh, wow. Kitty coming in with the hard-hitting questions. And the theoretical ones, too. If you could rework Rosie or Delina, how would you make them better? Like kicking the hornet's nest. Kicking the hornet's nest, Kitty. So, I think we've talked about Rosie on my streams before. Rosie's like most of the champions in this game are functionally viable. There's a big mass of them, and they exist in different places in this big champion cloud of strengths and weaknesses. There are some OP champions. There are definitely some OP champions. Ashara, overpowered champion as long as you can fill out her bonds. Overpowered champion in terms of relative power to everybody else. Avrin, Artemis, Human, Briv, right? There are these really just strong, overpowered champions, right? There's not a lot of them. but they make up currently what people use as the meta. Then there's this mass of champions, and then there's a handful of stragglers. Rosie's one of the stragglers. Delana is in the mass of useful champions, though, so these are not necessarily two champions in the same balance place. Delana is currently functional. However, Delana feels bad. Why does Delana feel bad while being functional? Delana feels bad because of the way Delana functions. She's a wild magic sorcerer. Technically, she's like and the way they created this wild magic is by giving this ebb and flow of abilities. And just like in the ocean, if you have two opposite waves hit each other, they kind of cancel each other out, right? And if you get two troughs at the same time, it's just a deeper trough. And if they meet at the same time, you can get like a nice little bonus swell. That's kind of the issue with Delana is very rarely do you see the waves align to create this strong Delana position. More often than not, you're noticing everything down here that just feels bad, right? And because Delana also rotates her basic attack through 3 different types of basic attacks, you might get the strong when it's hitting a single enemy instead of when it's hitting all enemies, which would then make her feel real great. Just know it exists. Delana feeling real great exists. Oh, that sounds bad. Delana destroying things on a level exists, but it has to do with lining up these abilities. That's kind of so. It's not that Delana can't be strong. It's that Delana just feels bad. Delana is a meme. We've trash talked Delana. This meme goes back to year 1, and it sticks around. That who's Delana is the meme. This is because back when the game was launched and we just had the core 12 champions, and Hitch is in Delana's slot. Delana was one of multiple DPS champions that was in, and Delana had no support buffs. So if Delana wasn't your DPS, and she wasn't, because it was either going to be Jarlaxle, or back then Minsk, or Jamila, they all DPS'd better than Delana at the time, you just never used Delana. You put Hitch in to buff one of these other champions, potentially, or to be a DPS themselves. Hitch was just all around better. So Delana became a non-existent memed champion, and that meme sticks around. Delana is in a functional place, she just feels bad. Rosie's a whole other thing. Rosie's at the bottom. I love Rosie Beestinger, the character. Her alter ego, Grandmother Knight, is a leader of assassins. The rise of Rosie is something I would love to see in this game. How would I fix Rosie? Rosie's... This opens a huge can of worms. Rosie's basically based around buffing people that are younger than her in the formation, especially younger females in the formation. As a pure DPS, she's given kind of a support ability, which is neat, but doesn't help her any. And then she gets lots of attacks. And she gets an AoE, but she just doesn't, because of the focus on people being younger than her, she's never really fit in the meta, because a lot of the meta champions weren't younger than her, or weren't females younger than her, and her damage just lacks. Like, it just really lacks. So if you're going to be a pure DPS in this game, you've got to punch above your weight. No pun intended for tiny little Rosie. You've got to punch above your weight, because you have to make up for the fact that you can't exist as a support, and Rosie just kind of fails at that. So she needs to kind of find a niche that works for her, because the high, I'm gonna become stronger when I'm with female champions that are younger than me. It's not currently a good enough niche. OPIV just unlocked Neris. What's she good for? Neris is over here. This is not her original. See, there's a Neris's original appearance. Neris is a support. just straight up support. I know she has like some healing, but it's not necessarily something you should rely on. Straight up support literally lends you her sword, aka her spiritual weapon, to buff you. She doesn't have to be in any specific place in the formation, so she's a very flexible support in that way. But yeah, just straight up support, throw her in. She's gonna do her job. Sword Razor, where can I find a reference to start my run for Blooshi? The Wild Beyond the Witchlight campaign. Wild Beyond the Witchlight campaign. So you're on the Hither area in Prismeer. The Fairy Rings of Thither. You've got to complete this adventure, and it's the second variant under this adventure. Bully for you. Bully for you. I will have a guide for that posted after this show ends. Right after this show ends, the written Gaarawarr's Guide to Blooshi will hit. Actually, it's called Evergreen Champion Guide Blooshi. Will hit the subreddit. So if you want more written out stuff rather than the video form stuff, that will arrive in about 20 minutes, folks. In about 20 minutes. Which is a reminder, we got 15 minutes left to get your questions in if you have any more. J-Dog, should Blooshi lose 20% of her stacks while changing areas and she's on the bench? I don't know. That would create a weird manipulative situation where you're like, well, I don't want to lose Blooshi stack, so I'm just going to remove her. And then when it changes areas, I'll keep them. Personally, I feel like she should, just so you don't have to be that manipulative with your gameplay. But, whatever. Whatever the devs intended. I haven't tested that. Super Fluffy Kitty. I've got 370,000 item levels on Artemis's... What? How did... Someone dumped every blacksmith contract they ever got into Artemis, it feels like, if that's true. Have I now quartered myself into only using Artemis as my DPS? Feels like it. I mean, you can absolutely go use other people, but to complete things with. But you're probably never going to push further than a good Artemis formation would at that point. That's a lot of item levels. The Schmerp says, hey Gar, I'm currently unlocking Deacon. Is he considered one of the staple speed champs like Shandy? Yeah. Deacon's one of those kind of, I call them starter speed champs, because Deacon and Shandy, both of them, neither of them need an item investment to get their speed. They just come with their speed right out of the box, so batteries are included. They have requirements for their speed, and the speed will shut off eventually. But they just function right away. You get the bang for your buck right away. So, absolutely. Absolutely, picking up Deacon is impactful right away. Foolish Genius, would you use Blooshi purely for support out of the tank line? Is the buff worth it? It feels like it's potentially worth it. I mean, again, you're ramping it up over time. But there's no requirement that she has to be in the tank line to do this buff. This is her support buff. Now, here's the thing. It's going to cap at 10,000. That's limiting, right? But here's the thing. Here's the other thing. Kill her off, and it goes to 100,000. So you could just throw in the front line long enough to die like this, and then ramp her up to 100,000 like we're going to do here. You just have to remember, every time you beat a boss, she's going to come back to life. You're going to have to kill her off again just by throwing in the front line. So a little bit of like Baloth style manipulation for deaths, because she doesn't have a spurt ultimate that kills her. Love that we have goats in the game now. Why does that make me so happy? Yeah. So you could. Follow up is that question. Blooshi appears to maintain her spirit form while on the bench and passing a boss, so it looks like she could get stacked at a set level and be brought back in at wall. Wow. Yeah, so I mean, it looks like there's manipulative gameplay there. I don't know. sometimes it's nice to have manipulative gameplay. I like a little bit of it. Like I like a little Baloth manipulation. I like a little Orkira stacking. I'll even do the Azaka farming. But there have been times where there's been highly manipulative gameplay in this game that lets you go further, and I'm just like, I can't be bothered. But if that's your thing, if that's your jam, and that just really makes you happy, go for it. Looks like Blooshi's got a bit of that. Once upon a time, Barrowin was the most like minutia manipulatable champion. Back when she could ultimately stack hammers infinitely and break the game. They fixed that, but you know, Krull was like that for a little while. They fixed that. I don't know if this is game breaking because it still has a cap, so it's probably fine. As long as things get capped, folks, it's fine. It's fine. Can Bully remove champions if you have only 9 available? Can you end up with like 3 champions on the field and no more available? Yeah. Look, it's looking at the champion, the bully here, the bully Wug, is looking for the champion with the least or with the most available champs in its slot. Well, if everyone's tied, it's just going to pick one of those ties at random. If everybody's tied at 1, it's still going to pick one of those at random. It's still going to pick one of those at random. So doing bully for you, especially, you know, with a low number of champions on your bench, can be problematic. Remember, the base adventure, the base variant bully for you, you're going to lose 23 champions. Guaranteed. You're going to lose 23 champions. Mert's version, add 4 more, 27. 27. Each patron after that should add 1 more. So Zariel you should be losing like 30 for Zariel, right? I think don't they go up by 25? I think they go up by 25. Yeah, so you've got to have a deep bench. Can you absolutely lose like the last champion from a slot? Absolutely. Can you end up with no champions if you don't have a deep bench? Absolutely. Don't put yourself in that situation. So yeah, can Bully remove all slot 6 heroes if only slot heroes or 6 heroes are placed on the field? Yes, because it can only look at who's on the field. Stygian, what should be my priority list when spending gems? I think somebody put a link to a collection of visual aids. One of those, I believe it's the 3rd one, maybe? The one called Gems Visual Aid is what you want from that list. You want to look at that. That was something that was a aid created in tandem with Mars and I. He created all the other visual aids there. The Gems Visual Aid is the only one that I worked on with him. Kind of has the thought process of how to prioritize gems spending. When you're brand new, the very first thing you should spend gems on, like literally out of the tutorials, buy your Mage Hand Familiar for 250 gems. It's just, you just need it. After that, you're buying lots of silver chests. Once you've got at least green gear on everyone, then you can switch over and start buying gold chests. That's going to get you your blues and your epics. And you do that for a very long time. And every now and then you'll stop and you'll buy a familiar because you've earned a lot of gems and darn it, you're worth it. But primarily you want to buy lots of chests and open those chests because chests include gear and gear is power and you need power to progress. Vovkus, Bully ignores unavailable heroes if they got a feat to make them available. Well, here's the thing. If you haven't slotted the feat, it won't pull them out. That's an interesting manipulation. You could not slot the feat, make that bench slot look 1 fewer than it is, and then later slot the feat and throw the champion in. You could. I don't know how useful that's going to be, but it might be. I mean, we'll see. Once I start doing the patron, seriously taking on these patron versions, that kind of stuff may happen. How many Zariel champions would be left in Bully for you after 30 get removed? Okay, I think this is going to be the last question, folks. Let me... That's a very good question. Let's see. I have to go to an outside resource for this. I'm trying to think. There's no other restriction here, so it's just the Zariel restriction that we're looking at. Quietly mathing. Hold on. Feels like a good number. Oh yeah, you're fine. There's, by my count, there's 65 out of the 98 champions in the game that qualify for Zariel, with a feat. You know, some with a feat. Now, I don't know how many of those you might own, but remember, you should lose 30 to Zariel's Patron version. So yeah. Yeah, that's... Yeah, I was worried there for a second. It may be worse with some of the others. But again, this is why I said this is a mid to end game unlock, simply because if for nothing else, then the fact that you need a lot of champions, you need to have collected a lot of champions, because there's no way around losing them. There's no way around losing them. Because even if you tried to not put a champion in after the bullied one out, you wouldn't be able to beat the bosses, because you can't beat the bosses with click damage to get through the next 25 areas. All right, folks, we made it. We did it. We did the thing. This is the last This is the last stream, CNE stream for this week. If you want to hang out with me some more today, you can join me in a little over an hour, because I got some things to do, so we might start slightly late. A little over an hour over at my channel, Twitch TV/Gaarawarr, spelled like it sounds. We're going to be playing some games over there. That game had an update this week, so we'll talk about that too. And that'll be fun. CNE streams will be back on Monday. Usually with Mars' Guiding Hand in the morning. Idle Champions Presents Court of the Raven Queen has finished. You can catch those videos on demand here on Twitch or over on the YouTube. Monday evening marks the return of a familiar quest. So if you were enjoying that D&D live play show, it returns on Monday. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I will thank you to Jordan. Jordan, you did it. See, I'm not that bad. I don't care what people told you. I'm not horrible. Thank you, Jordan, for grabbing all the questions today and keeping the chat clean. I will see you all again next week, unless you join on this channel next week. Otherwise, come see me later today. Bye, everybody. We're going out with Whittle's song, because of course I did Avern and Whittle's song together. Bye.
Let's give it a shot.
Okay.
Let's do it.
This could be it.
She's a little bit evil, a little bit good. She's a little bit sneaky, little misunderstood. Running away from her crimes like a spider she climbs. She's a little bit hero, a little bit villain too. She's a little bit scary, but way faster than you. No matter where you run, she'll be there pointing a gun. She's a tinker and a thinker, a wizard with her tools, a widow of an evil, and she suffers no fools. She's a little bit devil, dread domains woe, very quick on her feet while misleading her foes. But After a vampire's attack, her heart was turned black. She stepped out of time and stole the devil's rod. Then she dropped her to rest on top of a god. She saved a friend with a pack. Now there's no turning back. She's a tinker and a thinker, a wizard with her tools, a widow of the evil, and she suffers no fools. She's a hound in the night, and a tempest bite. For a friend she will find. She's what goes bump in the night. She keeps her soul from running aground. With her friends and allies she's found. She battles devils below and the gods above. She's dying to save the one she loves. She's a tinker and a thinker, a wizard with her tools, a widow of evil, and she suffers no fools. She's a hound in the night, and a tempest bite. For her friend she will fight. She's what goes bump in the night. Yeah, we did it.
It's so good. I'm so happy with it.
It feels good.